Hi people, it's Sarkovist here, hope you're doing well, and today I have yet another Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel video for you. After about 2 months, I'm finally going to be switching my main deck that I'll be showcasing on the channel. It's been fun using Galaxy-Eyes Photon Dragon. I will keep the deck forever in Master Duel, and I've got loads of content on the channel if you want to check it out. But after this amount of time, I want to try something different. And it did take some time to build this deck up. It's not easy, especially for ultra rares in Master Duel, generating enough to get a complete viable deck. But I've decided that my new archetype, my new focus, will be Cyber Dragons. So the idea here is that you've got this primary main Cyber Dragon. It's a level 5 machine monster, 2100 attack, 1600 defense. And if your opponent controls a monster but you don't, you can special summon it to the field, which makes it a great going second card. And also, if you find yourself on the back foot and quickly need to replenish your field, it's also quite useful for that as well. But whereas this is the main card of the deck, the key card you could say, the archetype around it is what makes it really special, particularly the XCs and fusion monsters that you can build off of this main Cyber Dragon. It's also got decent searchability. I find there's a Cyber Dragon core, for example. When you normal summon it, you can go and grab a spell card such as Cyber Emergency, and then you can use Cyber Emergency to search out any of the Cyber Dragons you have in the deck. So there's a good amount of consistency, which is an important thing. Of course, you don't want to be bricking too often, and that's often what I find myself tuning the most early on, is how do I avoid bricking more often than I get a good hand, of course. Sometimes I find myself just one card away from that combo, but without it, I can only throw out some basic plays. The attack power in this deck is phenomenal, which is great because that was one thing I was struggling when I was looking at moving away from Galaxy-Eyes. I didn't want to lose out on those really big attacks, and Cyber Dragons does not disappoint. So in this couple of games, you'll see one particular match, for example, where I summon a Cyber End Dragon, which takes 3 Cyber Dragons to the field, and I use Power Bond to do it. And what this means is that when I summon Cyber End Dragon, it will double in its attack permanently while it's on the field. And the only price, well, not the only price you have to pay, but the big price you have to pay is that you take the original attack as life point damage at the end of the turn. So in this case, I would take 4,000 points of damage to my life points. I then throw limiter removal on top of that, which doubles it once again, which is an even bigger price because it means I'll know if I get to the end of the turn, my Cyber Dragon, my Cyber End Dragon will be destroyed. Well, when you hit someone that hard, there's probably not going to be a next turn. So it's a deck where there is some risk in terms of getting those big plays, but if you manage to clear the back row and reduce the likelihood they will be able to counter your attack, it can be awfully satisfying. One Cyber Dragon I was already quite familiar with because I had it in my Galaxy-Eyes deck is Cyber Dragon Infinity. It's a really strong Xyz monster. When your opponent activates an effect, or indeed if you activate an effect, you can detach an Xyz material and then negate the effect and destroy the card, which is fantastic. However, one thing I didn't find so great about it before was that I did worry about its attack. Now it starts off with 2100 attack and then gains 200 for its Xyz materials, and furthermore you can absorb monsters on either side of the field as long as they're in attack mode, and then it will gain an extra 200, but it's just 200, so it can leave itself quite weak and vulnerable to stronger monsters. So what is quite complementary is the Link Cyber Dragon Sega. It's quite easy to get out at just Link 2. And what you can do is during the battle phase as a quick effect, so it can be your battle phase or your opponent's, is you can grant your Cyber Dragon Infinity 2100 extra attack. So if you're going into battle phase and your opponent targets Infinity because they know it's a threat, you can then grant it 2100 attack, and then ideally your opponent will crash into it and lose life points. Furthermore, Sega can technically target itself and give itself 2100 extra attack, as long as it's not the one declaring the attack. However, it does mean that your opponent and you won't take any life point damage, so if they crash into you and you destroy a monster, it doesn't mean they'll lose any life points, but hey, at least they're down a monster, right? Another great card in the extra deck would be Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon. It's got a modest 2100 attack though. If you use Power Bond to summon it, you can get that to 4200, and I do like to do this because I don't really want this one being vulnerable as it's so useful. And depending on how many cards you use to fusion summon it, so you must use 2, but you could go up to 3, 4 even, you can then destroy that many of your opponent's spell or trap cards, so it's fantastic in terms of removing your opponent's back row. Furthermore, it's got an extra ability where you can send cards to your graveyard, such as Cyber Dragon Core and Cyber Dragon Hertz, and then it will gain 2 additional attacks for its battle phase that turn, which means that especially if you've used Power Bond, that's 4200 each time it attacks, so you can genuinely get someone down from 8000 to 0 using this card. As of right now, I'm still very early in terms of using Cyber Dragons, but I'm connecting quite fast with this deck, which is usually a good sign. So this has been the introductory video. I wanted to show you some online games, of course, so you get a sense of its strengths, though this was after a rank reset, to be fair, though that is, I think, the best time to use a new deck you're not all that familiar with, but still, you can see some of the plays here. In future videos, I'll be looking to talk more in depth about the effects of the cards, maybe focusing on the real trump key cards of the deck in a bit more detail. So if you're interested in learning more about Cyber Dragon, stay tuned. As always, people, thanks very much for watching and see you next time.